Hey, I've got a hard-working gentleman here, and we're here at the Pinecrest Village. And this gentleman will identify himself and indicate some projects he was involved with for a couple of years. But let's start out with his identification and where he came from and that type of thing. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, good morning. I'm Don Janda, one of many volunteers out at the Historical Village. I started doing volunteer work here in the summer of 1999
Okay.
when I retired and have been here ever since.
Okay.
My original job when I retired was plant manager of the Miro Company rolling mill out on Miro Drive.
Okay.
I always had woodworking as a hobby for many, many years, and looked at this opportunity as a means of carrying on that hobby,
Okay.
which I still am very much involved in the smaller projects in my shop at home.
All right.
Uh, as far as the dance pavilion is concerned, this is a project that was undertaken in 2003
Okay.
when the building was offered to the Historical Society. The Historical Society took a look at it and made a decision that yes, that would be a nice addition to the village,
Yes.
and consequently the building was moved in September, late September, early October of 2003.
All right.
As it stood in Cleveland, it had a stone foundation on it, so it was difficult to determine what kind of supports were under the building to support the floor.
All right.
So we had to kind of take a guess at it, and we finally finalized the decision that probably the best thing to do would be to pour a concrete slab for the building, and that way, whatever supports we found on it, we'd have a good solid surface to build off of.
All right. Very
So
good
this is
idea.
what we did. And the slab was poured by Seiler Brothers,
All right.
and as soon as it had cured, then the move took place, and the building was moved by Don DeVoke Movers out of Valders.
All right.
When the building arrived here, it was in bad shape.
All right.
There had been a stage on the east end of the building that was extremely rotted, so we never brought it along at all. It just was torn down and demolished.
Okay.
And there was a large amount of rotting framework on what was at that time the west side of the building, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the north side of the building over here.
Okay.
So, and the roof was in terrible shape. Plus the inside was all filled with various different appliances. 9 oil burners were in there. There was an electric range. There was a gas range. There was an old piano in there.
Oh my
Plus
goodness.
a lot of other thrash that we had to get rid of before we could start any work on the inside.
Sure.
So, number one priority after it got here was to set it on the slab, build up concrete block piers, so we had something to set it on.
Okay.
And that's the way it sat for the winter of 03-04,
All right.
as well as the winter of 04-05.
All right.
But in the meantime, that didn't keep us from doing work on the building, and our primary push in 04 was to get the stage built for the building,
All right.
the dance pavilion, and kind of get all the deteriorated material from what was the west side of the building replaced and the wall rebuilt, which was done. Then we also added 2 new doors.
All right.
There was a door on one side of the building that we no longer use. That was closed up, and we cut a new door in on the present east side of the building.
All right.
The door on the north side was always there. But that was the extent of our work in 04. That pretty well filled up the time. Plus, we put the new roof on. We hired a firm to put the new roof on, got that on, and the building was made weather tight at that point in time.
All right.
Then in 05, then the push came to get the concrete block walls laid for it and the stone facing on the outside of the block walls.
Okay. Well.
We laid up 12-inch wide blocks for 2 courses, and then 2 courses of 8-inch block on top of that. And then we put the stone veneer facing on using field stone that we collected from the area here, and also some that were brought in from by another volunteer.
Wow, hey, that's unique to do the real thing with real stone.
That's right. Once the mason work was done, then we were ready at that point in time to do the backfilling on it.
Okay.
And with the backfilling, we got to the point we knew we were getting close at this point in time, but finishing the building. So the backfilling was done. We planted grass, built a handicap ramp, built steps for the door to the stage area, plus step and platform on the doors on the present east side of the building.
Okay.
That basically pretty well completed the job. Inside work was relatively minor as far as that goes. We had to make a new beam for the stage area. There had been a post in the center of it, which we did not want. So we reinforced the beam and encased it in 1x6 pine boards.
Wonderful.
And anchored it together at the corners as an extra safety precaution. And once the grass started growing, well, we were ready at that point in time to put the building to some use.
Okay.
And during the Fall Harvest Fest in September, mid-September, the building was open for the first time, and it was kind of open to invited guests, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
They in turn had an opportunity to come and see the building, and specifically the people from the Cleveland area wanted them to see what the building looked like at that point in time. So after that, then the next big event was the barn dance, which was held here on October 15th, and which was very well attended and went over very well.
Yes.
So now the building is ready for further use, and plans are to dedicate it during the Harvest Fest in 2006.
Okay, I didn't know about that. Yes, very good. Well, it looks magnificent, and the idea of having this ramp leading up to the entryway, that is a super idea. It allows everybody to partake of it and make use of the building. As far as the pinnacle on the top, I do remember that was bad shape and other problems with that original pinnacle. Can you give us something there, Don?
Yeah, the original one that was up there was relatively deteriorated, and it had to be cut off to move the building to decrease the overall height of it.
Okay.
And one of our members and volunteers, Rick Herman, made a new one for us, and spent a lot of time on it to get the 8 sides to it and that on paper. And once he had it done, then painted it, primed it, painted it, and installed it on the roof then.
All right.
So it's been up there, about a year now.
Okay, well, it looks like it passed the test.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Okay, I got another question for you, Don. I know there's some, I think, doors that open up on the walls that they can hook up, I believe. Was that still available to us at this time? And
right.
Okay.
There are 4 panels, if you want to call them that, on on 2 to the east, 2 to the west. And these are panels, they're approximately 3.5 feet by 6 feet.
Okay.
That open up, and they fold down, they're hinged on the bottom. You want them on the inside the building, and then they just fold down and hang down on the outside the building.
Okay.
When you do that, you get a lot more light in the building.
Yes.
And you get a lot more ventilation in the building. And they've been used from time to time, and a lot during the reconstruction, the restoration, to open up the building more.
Okay.
But right now it's a case of using them if you want more light, or if it's warm in the building, then you can put those panels down. There's 4 of them there, so it does make a nice airy building when you open them up.
Okay. And as far as the floor and the condition of the floor at the time you were involved with it, and what is now there, is any information on that, Don?
Well, the floor was in relatively bad shape as the building arrived here. There were 5 different areas on the floor that were rotting. The finished floor was rotting.
Okay.
So those, we took out all of those spots, and I relaid flooring, old recycled flooring, maple flooring, in the bad spots.
Okay.
And got all the repairs made there. But then the rest of the floor that was considered good was extremely dirty and black. And we had to do something with it, so used a solution of TSP and bleach and scrubbed it down with a floor scrubber.
Gosh.
And then mopped it down several times after that with clear water to pick up all the dirt that was left. And once it dried out good, then we were able to put on 2 coats of clear satin polyurethane.
Okay.
And as the floor, as you see the floor right now, the coloring and that's what the floor originally was.
Really?
We didn't do anything to change the color. We just put a polyurethane finish on it.
Great.
To protect it and give a more durable surface.
Okay. And I'll go one other step down. I noticed when we got the unit here that day that it was moved, the outside surfaces were kind of kind of bad shape also as far as texture and paint and so forth. What happened there?
Yeah. The siding on the building along the sills, it was basically bad all around the building.
Okay.
So the first one or two pieces of siding, we had to take them off and put new ones on. And we
Okay.
could not get exact siding anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What we had to do was to use some 1x8 car siding and use that as a close replica of what was on the building.
Okay.
And once that was done, then we were able to lay our block walls and stone walls. And after the stone walls were up, then we added another 1-inch wide piece of the car siding on the bottom of that first piece we had put on.
Okay.
That kind
Okay.
of covered the gap where the stones meet the
Sure.
meet the wood sill.
Sure.
But the siding on the stage area, that's all car siding. It matches up pretty good as far as that
Okay.
goes. Pretty close. It's not
Great.
perfect, but it's as close as we could get.
Now, as far as the inside, we're going to go for the inside for the moment. On that new stage area, that it looks like pine boards or something. Am I wrong there?
Well, yeah, the wall studs and the car siding, that's all pine.
Oh,
The flooring is maple flooring,
okay.
hardwood flooring,
All right.
and that was material that was pulled out of another building and
Oh.
recycled and used for this purpose over here.
Great. Super. Now, I know this building has an unusual framework to support the center portions of the roof areas. Anything had to be done there? Or was it pretty good shape when you seen it?
No, the framing on the roof to support the roof, that's all original. Nothing was done with that whatsoever.
Really?
It was all in good shape. There were two rafters that had a crack in that we did some reinforcing on them, one with 2x4s on either side, glued and nailed, and the other one, because of the location of the crack, had to use a piece of 2-inch by 2-inch angle
Okay.
to reinforce it
All right.
and bolt it to the bottom of the existing rafter.
Okay. Now, that framework that's in the middle, it's sort of a unusual one. I can't even describe it very good. But have you ever found a name for what that framework is all about at all, or is that kind of hard to come by?
No, don't have a name for it. Don't know what it would be called as far as that goes. But there is a lot of framing in there
Okay.
to support the weight of the roof and transfer the weight of the roof to the outside walls
Okay.
and be able to do this without any center
All right.
supports.
Yes.
Obviously, you wouldn't want a post in the middle of the dance
No.
floor to hold the roof up.
Right. That would be you'd be plowing into that all the time. It's
Yes.
beautiful the way it is.
Yes, it
It
is.
really opens it up.
That's correct.
As far as the unusual thing too on this building, I noticed was the seating that's provided on the outer walls. Could you give us something there?
Yeah, there is seating around all the outside walls for people to sit on. There's also a raised 4-inch platform around the
Okay.
outside of the building
Yes.
that you step up 4 inches from the dance floor onto this surface over here, and that's where the seating is mounted.
That's a good idea.
So
Super idea.
it kind of keeps your toes off of the dance floor so you don't get stepped on. Okay, when you talk in terms of ventilation,
Yes.
concerns about ventilation underneath the building did have some vents in it when it was at Cleveland.
Okay.
We installed vents in the block walls when
All right.
we put them up. There are actually 5 vents under the building now. They're the size of a concrete block, 8x8,
Okay.
and or 8x16, I should say.
All right.
We spaced these around the perimeter of the building after we had the one installed under the stage area, but our main thrust here was to get good air circulation under the building
Great.
and keep any dampness out and keep any moisture from forming on the concrete slab that's
All
underneath
right.
it.
Okay.
And what we saw this summer was excellent. Everything stayed nice and dry down there. We
Super.
didn't have any problem with getting any moisture
Okay.
on the underside of the timbers or on the concrete block wall or the concrete floor.
Great. Do you provide some kind of screen or something to
Right.
protect from other
Yeah.
rodents or
We
whatever?
made a frame, 2x6 framework for these vents and covered them with hardware cloth, quarter-inch mesh hardware cloth.
Okay. All right.
And, that's how they were made.
Good.
And then they were masoned right into the wall.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I gotta say, Don, you now the doors that you mentioned, you had to make new doors for
Yes.
the entryway we see at the background.
Right, right. Yeah, those are new doors I made. during the winter of 03, 04.
All right.
And made them at home, then brought them out here, and we installed them out here then in the
Okay.
following year in 04.
And I guess there was an activity here, like I said, last weekend, and it turned out to be something great. We had many things here as far as dancers and callers and music. Could you give us a little bit there on that?
Well, it was the first scheduled activity for the building.
Okay.
A barn dance. It went over well. Our program coordinator and the executive director, Sarah Johnson, and Mike Mayer did an excellent job along with the volunteers to get this all set up.
Okay.
And it was very well attended.
Yes.
And a lot of new faces, plus there were a lot of children along too.
Yes, I was surprised. I was surprised.
You need the youngsters here to keep something like this going in the future.
And again, they have a future plan for this one with a special open house, or is that right? Or did I misunderstood you there?
Yeah, it'll be dedicated
dedication.
next year during Harvest Fest.
Okay.
And at that point in time, there will be some special activities.
All right.
I don't know what at this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see what the director comes up with
Okay.
along with the program coordinator.
Now, Don, as far as the volunteer helpers along with yourself, were you sort of the leader of the group at this from the beginning to the end on this project?
Yes, and worked on it from start to finish.
Okay.
And I had myself roughly 1,000 hours that I put in the
My
building.
gosh.
With the repair work and the mason work and laying of the stone foundations, the stone veneer, I should say.
Wow.
Plus all the other repair work that was done on it. And I've camped on that project from the time it got here until late this summer when it was finished.
Okay. And approximately how many other volunteers had joined you?
We had, I had another 5 people that were helping from time to time.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. And I guess I forgot to mention, there's electricity also to this building, is that right?
Yes, there is. That's right. Power comes out of the town hall underground
Okay.
to the electrical panel on the east wall of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wired the balance of the building. It did have lights in it when it
Okay.
arrived here, but it was the old knob
Old.
and spool
Oh.
wiring.
Yes.
So that was all tore out, and then we rewired it and brought it up to code
Yes.
and have multiple circuits in it specifically for
Mhm.
using the building if you're serving food or keeping food
Oh.
warm in Nesco roasters.
Sure.
We have 4 outlets for them. They're each on their own circuit, so we shouldn't
Okay.
have any problem blowing fuses when you're using them.
Right.
Nescos in there.
Super. Now that's all 110, or what they call 120 nowadays?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Okay. As far as inside, one more time, Don, on the inner walls, was there just a cleaning done on those walls, or was there any kind of stain or anything provided there?
No, the inside of the walls, on the inside of the building, the walls as you see them are as they were in Cleveland and as the building arrived here. We did
Okay.
nothing to the interior walls whatsoever,
Okay.
outside of make some repairs that might have been necessary in the framework or things like that.
Yes.
But other than that, as far as finishing the inside, nothing was done on that.
Okay.
It never had been finished, so obviously we wanted to leave it in its original condition.
Okay. Well, Don, I think I'd like to move you to one other area, and that was a major one as far as the bandstand, and we'll take a look at that for the moment, and then I think I'll let you go to your other duties.
Okay,
Thank you, Don.
you're welcome.
Okay, I'm with Mr. Don Janda today, and it's the 18th of October. It's a beautiful day, and it's a Tuesday morning here, and Mr. Janda has a lot of duties at this facility here, but he's taken a little time to give us a little background on the building he's standing in front of, and basically the one area that had to do a major repair on. Would you right ahead, Don?
Okay. The building, as it arrived here, it didn't have a stage on, which is the area right behind me over here. In Cleveland, it did have a stage, but the stage was extremely deteriorated, and there was no point in bringing it along because of its poor condition.
Okay.
So we elected to leave it behind. It was demolished, and we got a building here originally that none of this was on here. It was just temporarily blocked off in back of me.
All right.
And we took it from there and then built up a new stage area for it.
Okay.
Stage extends out 10 feet, and It's roughly 18 feet wide.
Okay. Is that stage, if I may interrupt, Don, is that stage about the same size as was originally on there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's basically the same size.
All right.
Yes, but we tied it into the existing building, a little bit different than what it had been out in Cleveland.
Okay. And this now, the old one did not have any ventilation on. Is that correct? Underneath, I believe.
No, there was no ventilation there. There's ventilation under the stage as it sits here.
Yes.
Vent on the south wall here.
Okay.
And as far as inside ventilation over here, there are no panels on the stage like you have on the rest of the building to open up for light and air circulation.
Yes.
We just have one door on the side here to provide access to the stage from the outside. Inside, you can get up anywhere you want.
Okay.
It's raised 8 inches off of the existing dance floor.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we'll take a walk inside if you got another few minutes, Don, and we'll just look at the construction techniques that were used there.
Okay.
Okay, I've got Mr. Don Janda with me again, and we're inside the building, and he'll describe what all took place here on the one area of the building. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, to put the new stage on, there was a couple of things we had to do. The original stage that was on the building in Cleveland, this beam that you see over here had center support to it.
Okay.
We didn't want that. We wanted the space wide open, so the beam was kind of rebuilt, if you want to call it that.
All right.
The existing beam that was in there was reinforced with 2 additional 2x10s and 2 more 2x12s.
All right.
And then we put pine boards over the side of it to close the whole thing in. These are long 2x10s, 2x12s. We got 18 footers so we could span the full length.
Great.
We did some extra reinforcing in the corners here to get the support underneath it to carry the weight.
Okay.
So that was the first thing we did. Once the beam was in, then we could start on the rest of the building.
All right.
What the size was as far as that goes, and we know how high up we wanted it. And at that point in time, we could put down our joists, 2x8 joists, and 2x8 sills, and start the framing at that point in time.
Okay.
The 2x4 framing that you see here, that's all rough sawn 2x4
All right.
pine lumber that we got from Learman's sawmill.
Oh, okay.
And then on that, on the outside, we put the 1x8 car siding.
All right.
The ceiling has, is relatively flat. The roof, I should say, it's got 2 inches of pitch from the north to the south.
Okay.
It's got a rubber roof on it. There we used 2x6 for the roof rafters, roof joists.
Yeah.
And those were purchased from one of our local lumber yards as far as that goes.
All right.
For our roof decking,
we
had a lot of old wide barn boards around.
Sure.
So we took them and tipped them over, put the side that was originally to the inside, not exposed to the weather on the barn.
Yeah.
Then that was down, so when you look up now, you see barn boards as roof boards, and they're in relatively good shape because we had reversed them.
Yes. Super.
And once they were down, well, then we could put our felt down, and when the roofers came in '04 and re-roofed the building, then they put the new flat roof on the stage area at that point in time. The flooring that you see on the stage, that's maple flooring. That was recycled from an older home that was torn down, and the flooring was obtained from it, put it in storage at the village, and once that was done, we had something to work with here when we started laying our floor. Mm-hmm. And it turned out pretty good as far as
I would say.
As far as being old flooring.
Yes, it really does add. It's just exactly almost a replica of what's already in here.
That's right.
On the main floor. I'll just pan across here, Don.
Yeah.
My golly,
it matched in with the existing flooring that was in the building relatively good.
Yes, yes. Very good, Don. I got to say, you built it strong and sturdy, and it should last for many, many years.
We certainly hope so.
I failed to ask a question pertaining to the roofing company that was maybe hired for the roofing that we see on the building.
Yeah, that was, the new roof was put on by a firm from Michigan.
Okay.
And the name of the firm slips my memory right now.
Okay.
I can't think of the name of the firm, the fellows
Look,
that
look,
run it.
it looks like it's well done, though.
Yeah,
It looks
they did
impressive.
A good job on it.
Yeah.
A real good job on the flat roof here on the stage as well.
Okay. Well, again, Don, I want to thank you, and we'll maybe take a little. I got 5 minutes left on this side of the disc, and we'll take a look at part of the hall that might have been something that took a little effort to rectify. I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Okay, and we're still with Don Janda, and we've moved to a little bit different location on the dance floor, and he'll point out a few things that we talked about a little earlier, but he'll actually show you what we are talking about. Go right ahead, please.
Okay, as far as the dance floor is concerned, you notice all the way around the periphery of the building, we have a seating area.
Okay.
That was in the building, that was part of the dance hall as it was received.
Okay.
Also, there is a 4-inch raised platform for people that are seated on the seating area. Their feet are not down on the dance floor. They're 4 inches above the floor itself.
Great.
Standard construction in other buildings of this type that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Right behind me is a panel over here. These panels can be opened.
Okay.
And they're hinged on the bottom. They fold down.
All right.
And if you want more air in the building or more light,
Yes.
better air circulation, you just take and open up those panels.
Okay.
They're closed.
Good.
In some areas on the building, you'll notice that the corners are reinforced with cable.
Oh, yes.
This wasn't the case on the stage area, but when we put the beams in, after I had covered them with pine lumber, then
Yes.
I was able to find materials here, and we did tie in the corners like this to help reinforce the building.
Wonderful.
Some corners of the building did have the cables in, one right behind me is one.
Okay.
Over here, that was in the building as it arrived here.
Okay.
There's another one across the way there, that was in the building as it arrived here also.
All right.
These two by the stage area, I had put in to reinforce those corners.
Good thinking. Makes it locked up like it's almost like a triangle effect, but it's an octagon effect here.
That's right, that's right.
Okay, very good.
So, other than that, on the floor of the dance hall there, we had to make repairs as I indicated previously because
Okay.
it was bad, it was leaking extremely bad.
All right.
So we had rotted floors, this area over here, there, 2 spots over here.
Okay.
And what's the north end of the building now, that was all replaced because that was all rotted, starting from the sills and the subfloor and the floor joists. That side of the building was basically sitting on the ground when it was in Cleveland. And it
Oh.
was extremely rotted.
All right.
So the whole, what is the whole north wall right now, the whole 18 feet, that entire section was replaced. Or in the case of the wall studs, all we had to do there was to scab on 2x4s down to the sills, and we could reinforce them that way. The floor joists underneath, same thing was done with that.
Okay.
We had to turn around and scab on new floor joists to the old ones once we got past the rot.
Okay.
And put down new subfloor, new sills and things of that nature.
Okay.
So it looks pretty good now as far
Yeah.
as that goes, but as it came here, as it arrived on site, it was not so good.
Almost a head scratcher when you got to this thing.
That's right, that's right, yes.
Well, Don, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to fill us in on all the details and all the work that was done on this building for now that people can enjoy it and be safe about it. And I think everybody is very appreciative of what you've all done in those years and 1,000 hours of volunteer work.
Yeah.
So I thank you again, Don.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm looking at the finished product of the Octagon building, and this gentleman that had worked so diligently on it has some final words to say about his feelings on the project. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, this certainly was an interesting project. A lot of time and effort went into it to get it to the point where we're at right now. And I guess as far as I'm concerned, it was what you might call a labor of love, something that you saw and had an interest in. You wanted to get it done, and it was a nice addition to the village. And as a result of that, you probably put your heart into it a lot more than something else that didn't have the historical value to it that this facility has.
Okay.
And long term, I'm sure it'll be enjoyed by a lot of people in the future and long after we're gone.
Very good, Don. Thank you very much for taking the time, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm with Mr. Charlie Bauer on a beautiful day here at Pinecrest, and he'll tell us what we're all up to today. Both he and I were on different projects almost.
Yes. I don't know, are we going to go into what we were doing, or should we just stay with the nature trail here?
Well, let's say what we were doing. We're just finalizing our day up here on this trail, but go ahead and tell us about what we were up to.
Jerry was busy interviewing Don Janda, who was the project engineer on the Nennig Dance Hall, in the restoring of the building, and we got a lot of good information there. And I myself was in the dance hall getting measurements and taking still photos, and my intent here is probably to build a 1/12 scale model of that building, if I got it all figured out properly. And now we're standing at the part of the nature trail here, and Peggy Hartke, who's up at the informational booth at the Pinecrest here, told us that we should take a walk through the nature trail. And I myself never did do this, so it's going to be quite interesting to see what they all have here.
Okay, I'll be interested also, Charlie. We'll take the walk, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. We got some stand posts here with informational on it, and we'll be looking at that also as we travel the nature trail. Okay, we took a few steps down the nature trail, and already we ran into an interesting object here. And according to Mr. Bauer, this is a stump puller?
A stump puller, yes.
Okay, we're going to take another view, and then maybe Mr. Bauer can give us some illustration and some information here. My goodness gracious, what was all invented years ago. Okay, we're looking at an informational sheet here, and Mr. Bauer, can you read that off of there, please?
Yes, it's the little placard here says stump puller. And it goes, as you pause and look around, try to imagine what this area would have looked like 100 years ago. How would you feel about seeing a forest of huge white pines, hemlock, cedar, oak, ash, or even maple trees that had to be cleared before you could plant crops? Even though trees were valuable for many purposes, they were also difficult to remove. And you can see up, if you
Okay, I'll pan up there, Charlie.
pan up there, and you can see this device that the pioneers engineered to remove the stumps.
I'll start with the stump that's chained there.
Yeah.
Okay, can you kind of tell us what happened here, or what that thing could do?
Well, it stands on a tripod, so you could level it over the stump real easily.
Okay.
And the center shaft in there is a screw mechanism.
Ah.
And you can see at the bottom of the screw, they got a chain wrapped around the stump.
Okay, I'm coming back down to that.
And there is more on our placard here that probably will explain some of that. But if you look at the way the camera's looking at it, at the top of the screw there, there's an arm that comes out to the left.
Yes.
And that arm, you'd put a team of horses in front of, and they would walk around this tripod.
Ah.
And that would turn that screw and raise the screw up and
oh my God.
put down pressure on the 3 tripod legs there.
Yeah.
And then would lift the stump out of the ground.
Man alive. Mr. Bauer is getting a little enthused about this piece of equipment here. That he says he's got a team of model horses that are not doing anything.
Oh.
This would be kind of unique, and I think it would be a conversation piece. But
You can see how this whole device here is just it's held together with these chains, so it was made to collapse, so you could always move it easily to the next stump.
Yeah.
And there were big giant wooden wheels on here.
Okay.
Because it would raise it high off the ground because you were going in a stumped area.
Oh man.
And if you can look at the bottom of this hook here, how the blacksmith forged this little key on here to hold the chain.
Oh yes, yes.
Quite interesting.
Oh, be doggone. Very neat.
Where do we see the swamp white oak?
Again, we're still taking the scenic path here that we were told about. We just came upon a whole raft of millstones, right?
Millstones.
Okay. Is there a difference between the one that stood still and the one that rotated? Is there something you can tell here?
As far as I can see, this particular one here would have been the running stone.
Okay.
because of this key device in here.
All right.
And the bedstone would have just sat
Like this one here.
right. Now, one thing you've noticed about these stones now, they all have metal bands on,
Oh.
except that great big one there.
Okay.
Now, if you can get the camera to come around the back side on this particular stone here, Jerry,
Okay.
you can see why they have a metal band on here.
Okay, I'll be right around there, Charlie. Okay, Mr. Bauer is explaining something about our metal band.
Yes, this metal band here held all these individual stones together.
Oh my
Now,
God.
We all think of a millstone as one large, huge stone.
Yeah.
And it's not. It was not always necessarily so.
Okay.
These, in fact, were more common than a regular solid piece of stone.
Okay.
And when they wore down, what they could do for more weight, they would just pile additional rock on top of this, so you had enough down weight under to make the grinding process work better.
Sure. And individual stones were easier to work with. They had to make them only into a pie shape of rough form.
Right.
But by golly, I never seen this either. I always seen the full block of stone.
You can see some of the ferrules they had chiseled in here like a grinding mechanism. These are pretty well wore down already. It's pretty smooth, but you can see that there was an offset in here.
Sure, I see
and
that.
That was the grinding process.
Okay, very good. And this one here is also banded, like you said?
This one's all banded, and you can see the
sure.
The key
what do you call them, ferrules or whatever?
Ferrules. These are the ferrules in here.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, very nice, Charlie. I've never seen this kind before. Thank you very much, sir.
You betcha.
Okay, we're looking at some trees here, and Mr. Bauer, would you like to tell us what we're looking at a little bit in the background?
The taller trees back there, them are the black locust, and all these little ones coming in front here.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if they planted them or if they just self-planted, but
all right.
It's a black locust tree.
Okay, I'm going to take a little view of this one that's near our stand here. I'll be doggone.
And I think a black locust tree, if I remember right, I think they kind of like moist ground.
All right.
You know, they do better in a moist setting.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, we're just about ready to depart from Pinecrest, and we're just come out of the nature trail area, which comes out here by the railroad station and the log sawing area. And even Mr. Bauer has found out there's a area here of rest at the old outhouse. Charlie, what does that all mean?
My question to Jerry is, if I did not know how to read, and I knew which sign was my sign, and I can't tell you if I am the moon sign or the star sign, but that would indicate which restroom I was supposed to use.
Okay, and that's when you could not read, huh?
That's when you could not read. They always indicated it by putting either a moon on there and a star, and then you would know which room you would use.
Okay, very good, Charlie. Thank you.
Betcha.
Okay, we're about ready to depart the Pinecrest area, but maybe Mr. Bauer would like to just give us a little parting words here.
Parting words. We just walked across the bowl here, and Jerry's been telling us all morning here, it's a beautiful day here. And if you never took in a nature trail, you have to take that in. There's a lot there to see, you know. And our intent today was to talk to the people that actually did the restorational work on the Nennig Dance Hall. And we like to know who built the building and a few other little details here that we're going to see if we can get some more information on. And
okay.
If we got a little time, we'll probably go over and talk to Peggy, who's at the informational booth here at the Pinecrest. And I believe we just have another week left of being open to the public here, and then they'll go into their winter mood where they'll just be open for special occasions like Halloween and their Christmas thing and that.
All right.
But it will close to the public here. I think you have one more weekend just to get it all in.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Charlie, for participating with me on this project, and I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, I've got three nice ladies here that I've ran into on our final moments here at Pinecrest, but they'd like to identify themselves and give us a little history about themselves. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Florence Kurt. I live in Francis Creek. I help Betty one half day a week.
Okay.
On Tuesday, and we go around the buildings and we make everything nice.
Okay.
And I've been doing this for about, what, 3.5 years maybe, or 3 years?
Okay. And if I may ask, what prompted you to get into this as a volunteer?
Oh, I've always been interested in it.
Okay.
You know, I like the history part of it.
Yes.
And some of the things I couldn't do, and I thought, well, I can always clean up.
Yes. Well, they appreciate that too. I think and it is neat. I must say, you folks do a wonderful job here. It makes it attractive to everybody.
Yes.
Well, I do thank you very much, and I got a lady in the middle here, and she'd like to speak a few words. Go right ahead, please.
Well, I'm Peg Harder. I've been around for a number of years, I think since about 1988.
All right.
And started out as sort of a handy person.
A candy person.
Handy.
Oh, handy
with a
person.
hammer and shovel
Yes,
and
yes.
paintbrush and that sort of thing out here. And
Sure.
then, ended up with in collections. I'm chairman of collections and in charge of the library,
Oh,
the
great.
Heritage Center, and I
Great.
work out here 2 days a week.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, thank you very much. And we have another lady here who's also smiling and happy about this kind of weather and working here. Go right ahead, please.
My name is Betty Holzbach.
Okay.
We live just on the other side of Brandt,
Okay.
on Wagon Wheel Road.
Ah,
I've been coming out here and cleaning the buildings for about 12 years now.
oh my goodness.
And I got started because after we retired, we needed something to do to fill in our days. So
Yes.
we came out here, and at first I did help with painting and removing paint and things like that. But then I got into the cleaning of the buildings, and I enjoy it. I just said to Florence, I'm wondering if I'm going to come back next year.
Oh my
But
goodness.
I think I will.
Sounds like good news from there.
Yes, I think I will.
Okay, very good. Well, ladies, I thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and we'll see if we can put this all together on a nice video for you folks so you can see yourself. And again, I appreciate the cleanliness of the place and the way it's well run.
Cleanliness is theirs.
You're
They
very
do. And the background noise, if you hear it, that's
Yes.
Leo, her husband, that mows the
Oh,
lawn.
okay. Well, I'll kind of overlook his noise factor a little bit. He's a worker
Oh,
too.
it's not noise, it's purring.
It's purring. Well, again, thank you very much, ladies, for taking the time. Appreciate it very much. Okay, I got a lady here who directed us to go down that nature trail, and it was the most interesting thing, and there was a unique piece of equipment there, and she'd like to tell us a little bit about it and what's coming up with it.
All right, well, what it is, it's a stump puller.
Okay.
And it's a 3-legged with, it's supposed to have wheels on it, and we've just found out that there are, what the size would be.
Okay.
So that we can put those wheels on. And actually what would happen is the horse would be hooked up to an arm
Yes.
and would walk around that, and finally with an auger or screw in the
Yes,
center,
that's right.
and the chain around the stump, and eventually pull it up. Most of the stump pullers are not exactly like that, and I'm not sure just exactly how they worked, but anyway, some of them were not exactly like that, or otherwise they'd use dynamite to get the
Okay, yeah.
stumps out, or they dig, or they just leave them in the
Oh,
fields.
man,
But this one is
yeah.
an old stump puller that came to us
Well,
a number of years ago.
Well, I thank you for
We hope to
pointing
get
that
it. We
piece
hope
of
to get it
equipment
in.
out. I never seen one like that, and it was very, very interesting.
Well, we're glad that you took a walk down there.
Thank you again for telling us.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've been talking to a wonderful lady named Peggy, and she's got some information, something new that came about with a cheese factory. Go right ahead, please.
Okay, what I was mentioning was we have put a whey tank in the back. It's a W-H-E-Y,
Okay.
which would be opposite of the weight tank that's
Okay.
in the intake.
Yes.
And what would happen is that the whey from the making cheese
Yes.
would drain down underneath the floor of the cheese factory
Okay.
and out to this outside tank, which is, I think it's about 6 feet in diameter. The staves on that are 2-inch oak.
Oh,
2-inch
really?
thick oak ones,
Oh,
about
okay.
4 inches wide. It's a huge thing,
Yes.
very heavy. And what will happen is we're putting a wood pump that'll be next to it, because the farmers would come, bring their trucks around with their empty cans, pump the whey out of the tank into their cans,
Okay.
take it back home to feed the pigs.
Ah, nothing was
That's-
lost here. Everything was used.
Those cheesemakers were fantastic fellas. They never wasted anything.
Mhm.
They used everything up to the nth degree, and then they recycled it. They're great.
Thank you again for that information, too.
You're welcome.